Annyeong and welcome to Swan Creates Art. Okay, so I've been hinting at this clay sculpture I've been working on in my past few videos, and now a month later I finally finished. Yay! But right now my motivation is low, so as a way to keep the morale going, I decided to edit this video with inspiration from one of my favorite creators. Delightful. Well, I'm going to try anyhow. So this idea came about when I was watching Prickly Alpaca, another artist I love to watch on YouTube, and she sculpted the sun and moon cats, and I did my Bobby Duke best and said, I want that. So I instantly thought of my cat character, Ollivander. Ollivander is a necromancer who hates being a necromancer. Why? Because he's afraid of ghosts. So right now he's on a quest to rid himself of his powers. Would he make it? I don't know. I haven't checked for any story yet. But anyhow, here's how my process went. Here's a look at the material that I'll be using for this project, including foil, clay of course, wooden skewers, and some random assortment of clay sculpting skewers I have somehow. And that piece of wood I had laying around, and I love the raw edge of it and thought it would be the perfect base to place Ollivander's sculpture on. But before any sculpting could be done, I first have to figure out how I'm actually going to sculpt this thing. So sketching Ollivander out again not only refreshed how to actually create him, because I drew him years ago, so this was a good practice. It also helped me figure out the shapes of Ollivander and how I could put those shapes together to create him in sculpture form. So once I work out the mechanics of how I'm actually going to put the sculpture together, I roll out some foil and crumple it together and try to create the shapes as a base for the clay. That way I won't have to use up so much clay and the sculpture won't be as heavy as if I use pure clay. So I'm scrunching up the shapes and trying my best for it to fit to my sketch. And I'm always referring back and see that the shapes are well together. And when I'm happy with what I have, I then roll out the clay. I had some clay left over when I made my clay friends, but I waited too long to use it again and it all dried up and is hard as a rock. Yeah, I'm really sad about that. Good thing I had already purchased a DAS air dry clay just in case. Not for this project, I just bought it just because, and I'm so glad I did. So this clay is super nice, real nice. I love it. I see why so many sculptors love to use this brand of clay. I only have one thing to compare it to, but I really like this clay, so I recommend this clay as well. And I cut it open, smoothed it out, and started applying it to my foil base. Ta-da! Look, I even made some cute footsies for him. I'm really happy with how the base came out so far. This isn't the final rendition. I had to extend the head and stuff later on, but for right now, it looks so cute. So now I just have to wait for this base to dry before I could add additional layers on top of it. Oops, forgot Ollivander has two eyes in his head. Let me mold that into his face sculpt before it fully dries. There, that's better. While I'm waiting for the base to dry, I thought it would be a good idea to start sculpting the hat, which might have been a bad idea. Et voila, a hat was born. Now just to lay down and wait for everything to dry. The next day, once everything was fully dried, I tried on the hat with my character, and this is where the mistake of sculpting the hat by itself came in. It didn't really fit the head of the character. The hat is way too big, but I already like how the hat is. I also sculpted the ears, and yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. I tried to get ahead of myself and it bit me in the butt. So now I have to build up on the face because the face is too small for the hat, and I like the hat. Maybe I should have rebuilt the hat instead of rebuilding the face, as we will see later on. Spoiler! Looking back at the footage now, I really should have resculpted the hat to fit the head instead of trying to make the head fit the hat, you know, because guess what? This is not even its final form. So as I wait for those pieces to dry, I get started on the bag. The bag is also something that is not its final form. This little bag is the bag Ollivander has to go on to his adventures, and it was fun making this bag. It was fun making this bag 3 times. Yeah, 3D sculpting takes a lot of thinking that I wasn't prepared for, even though I thought I was. Now, since the hat has dried, I decided to add the little band that goes around the base of the hat, and I've already added the ears, which is a bad thing to do because I didn't measure it with the head. So when I finally put the hat on the head, it looked as if the ears was floating in space, so it kind of looked like the hat has ears and not Ollivander. Oh my god, sculpting so hard. Respect to all sculptors. The next day, all the pieces have dried, and now it's time to assemble them all together. So I tried using crazy glue to stick them together. Didn't work, but what I did find work was to take already wet clay and make it more wet. Dip my finger in some of the water and try to smooth it out, and it helped. It stuck together, but it did add on bulk to the already established structure, so be very careful of that if you choose to make this by yourself. So cute. This seemed like a good stage to stop for the night, and I left it in this plant pot I have for it to dry so it will stay in place. Oops. Gentle with your sculptures. He's okay, guys. He's okay, and he's going to stay there for the night. The next morning I broke my tripod. Well, the thing I use to do overhead shots, so be prepared for all the crappy shots I'm going to use with my tabletop tripod. I'm so sad about this, but time to get back to work. So now that I got the base together, it's now time to make his staff. How I went about making the staff is I used one of the bamboo skewers for stability, and I wrapped it in foil to bulk it up, and I then add the clay on top of that, and the skewer with the foil added a super strong base. And I could tell it because at the top it was just clay and it was super flimsy. When it dried it was fine, but I totally recommend using foil and skewers as much as you can. The end result was so cute, and it's so sad that the first thought that came to mind was Moses part the Red Sea. But I really like how the staff came out. Okay, with the base, the hat and the staff made now, it's just time to measure the length, the length of the arm to see what's the best length to hold the staff. And since the dowel rod wrapped in foil covered with clay worked for the staff, I used that same method for the arms. And with the use of clay, I attached that arm to the base. Guys, I was really losing motivation here because it looked so bad to me, and I was like and all the wait time in between the dryings was killing me. But I'm so glad I pushed through because look how this looking. It looks so Before I can add the other arm to the sculpture, I first have to attach the bag, since in the picture the hand is over the bag. But in looking at the picture again, I realized I forgot to put the cloak on. So I have to take off the arm I already put on, thank goodness the arm didn't dry, and then put the cloak around the base. My god, thinking is 3D should not be this hard. Now with the cloak on, I could finally reattach the arms. I just love how the oversized version of the bag I made fits perfectly as a pillow for the sculpture. Like, look, he's just laying on his bag, getting his arms attached. That's a weird sentence. But here is the product, and he looks so skinty hunty. Oh my god, he looks so weird. Do you see my face? Very precise, very demure. See, not showing how vexed I am with this project so far. I'm just doing the sleeves in stride. How very demure of me. But here how the sleeves are. It's coming out great. Now it's time to add the scarf, and this is when things was finally looking good. It looks like a beard for 2 seconds there, but I promise you, it's a scarf. And with that, we're finally done. And here's where it's dry. Hi, Kathleen. And now I just want to smooth it out with a nail file that I have, nothing fancy. And also, I didn't film it. I also made a tail with some leftover clay because I almost forgot about it. So I just want to smooth it out a little with the nail file. Not sure if it's going to make much of a difference, but it's better than that. And here's how it looks out. Do you see much of a difference? I don't know. Home stretch, guys. We finally reached the painting stage, and things are supposed to be going smoothly from now on because this is the final step for finishing the clay sculpture, right? Wrong. So I ran into a little problem of when the paint was wet on the sculpture, it was the color I wanted it to be. But when it dried, it was super dark, like really dark. And I've used these paints before, so I know it's not the paint. My speculation, but don't quote me, is that since I painted directly on the clay absorbed the paint and somehow made it darker. I'm not sure. So if you're using this clay or any kind of clay, please use gesso. I thought I was safe since the clay was dried white, you know. But just to be on the safe side, please gesso your sculptures. It might make a difference. Everything was seeming a little too dark, so I decided to add a pop of magenta to under the brim of his hat and inside the sleeves of his robe, just to add a pop of color, you know, something a little different. A gazillion layers of paint later, we finally have all the pieces to put together. The staff has a little crack in it from the painting, but I like it. It adds character. And I took out my hot glue gun because I ain't adding no more clay. The hot glue gun will have to surface. And with that, we're done. Here's Ollivander. Oh my god, I'm so happy. Guys, meet Ollivander. Ollivander is a cat who manifested as a necromancer. This is a big problem for Ollivander since he's afraid of ghosts. And ever since he manifested as a necromancer, ghosts tend to make his house a hotel right now. So right now Ollivander is on a quest to rid himself of his necromancer powers so he could stop seeing ghosts. This project was a fun, thought-provoking one for me. Trying to figure out how to build this character in 3D was a struggle, guys. It was a struggle, but it was well worth it. I wanted to give up so many times throughout this project, but I'm so glad that I didn't, and I stuck with it, even though it took me way longer than I thought. Is he perfect? Yes. Yes, he is. He's my baby. I love him. I didn't make a base for Ollivander, and I even filmed the process, but my problem is I don't measure. I just go right in, and when I put Ollivander on the stand, he's way too big for the base. Oops. Okay, lovelies, thank you so much for sticking with me throughout this project. I hinted at working on Ollivander. I even have a Patreon post where, by the way, you could follow me over on Patreon. It's free. You could just follow and you'll have updates over there. I even made a post of an update about it over on Patreon. This project was so much work, but I feel so proud of it. Okay, lovelies, thanks so much for watching. Thank you so much for following me along this journey, and I'll see you when I see you, lovelies. Bye. Oh yeah, like and subscribe. Okay, bye-bye. Bye. Bye. Bye, lovelies. Mwah.